Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I'm here today with a flip through of my latest journal. This is a sort of a tree forest lore themed journal called the Identification of Trees and Shrubs. So this book, I kept the original book all intact. It's a nice black book. And on the cover, this is an image that is taken from an antique family tree book, and it's an apple tree and has all these teensy tiny little names on it. There's a little house in the background, so the whole thing is quite ornate, and I have fussy cut it out, and I've also embossed it with some clear embossing powder to just give it a nice kind of hard feel, right, so that it will be durable. You'll see lots of leaves and things poking out the top and the sides. I've used gold eyelets to close this book. This book has 4 signatures. It is a nice tall book that measures just under 9.5 by just almost 6 inches. And so then the closure is with my own botanically dyed fabric, and I have stitched to it this nice green fabric, and I've stitched on some fun leaves, and on this one we have this really fun wooden button, and on this side same kind of leaves and a little brass button. So yeah, you can see some bits of plant printing here and there. And then the end papers are just these lovely 49 and Market papers. I just left them alone. If you wanted to put a pocket there, you could. I really just wanted to let them be. They're just so pretty. It's from one sheet of paper, which you can hopefully see the whole thing like this. And all I've done to them is I just put my my seal here with the date and my signature. Put a couple fun little bits in there. So yeah, so we can now hop on into this journal. So as we move into the first page, I again have a page that I didn't want to add anything to because I just really love all of these beautiful deer. This journal's kind of a little more than just like trees. It's a little bit of maybe forest lore. I've stitched some leaves along the edge here. Here we have this beautiful tree, and then this is a little golden frame from the paper Cameo, and I have laminated it, and inside, and it's on a brad, there are a couple of little maple seeds. So these are these really beautiful pink kind of ones that we get on a tree at our ecology center. And inside we have one of 2 of these journal cards that are made from a vintage book about how to draw and paint trees, and they're white birches. And on back we have some painted paper, and this is on hand-dyed paper as well. All the paper in here is all hand-dyed in shades of green, greenish yellow. Then this is a large pocket here, some fun leaves and blackberries, and some fern at the bottom. And this is actually the dust jacket of this book, and I wanted to put it in here because it just had some really nice illustrations. This is a tag that I made using negative space, and we've painted some trees behind her, and we stitched a leaf, and it says chosen haunt around the branches. So just a large journal tag that just pops in here. And on this side I just did, I made a little tree out of green vintage stamps and just drew a little tree. And here we have some nice dyed paper that's been doily dyed in that nice chartreuse shade. These are some of the original pages of this book, and I'm actually using pages of this book for the whole 3 journal series because I think they'd be so fun to like watercolor or paint in some way, or you know, to just kind of journal in the gaps. They're just really beautiful pages. Another reason that I was attracted to this book. This is another laminated piece, also a frame from paper Cameo, and this one has a maple seed inside, and I'll just bring it up to you. So I've painted this one in shades of gold and teal, and it's on this lovely old document, digital. And then this tag is inside. I made this during Junk Journal July, and this is my Shmooshy paint trees that I made, and it says "Believe in the Faraway Tree," and you can actually see that through the window here. And then just some nice botanical paper, and this is the original book plate of the book, The Identification of Trees and Shrubs, and I've added a couple of chestnut fussy cut leaves there. Here we have the copyright date of 1967. More dyed paper and original pages. And then I've made a tuck spot, sort of like a belly band here, with this chestnut tree with all these fun knots in the middle. And there's the second of these birch journal cards. And that is on some nice leafy paper at the back. And then on this side, I made a journal card out of the cover of this old Golden Nature Guide Trees book. I just love it. I think that the orange, it's really kind of cool. It picks up the orange in this tree. So the background paper here is actually tree bark in, like, you know, that sort of tone of like the golden hour of sunset, right? And then I've made here a waterfall card, all with different tree images, and on back there's writing space if you want to. I mean, I don't know, if you want to use it for writing space, you can. You can also use this tab here that you pull it as writing space. So yeah, it's kind of a dynamic thing to have in a book. Something a little fun. And then over here I've added some chestnut branch and the horse chestnut pod with the chestnut inside. That's been fussy cut on that pocket. And then we have this little journal card of all of these trees. And that just pops in here. More dyed paper and original book pages. And then this little cluster of trees is from a children's book. And inside, this is one of my laminated collection cards of bits of flora and fauna. This one has a couple little seeds, a teensy tiny little leaf, a maple seed, and a little branch of tiny leaves that are bent this way and that. So these are from the little collections that my daughter brings me whenever she goes outside or goes on a walk or whatnot. She always brings me a little handful of something. So this is a vintage postcard, and I've backed it with some handmade paper, and I've just laminated it and stitched it to trap those things inside. So there is writing space on the back. Then this is from a book cover called Epitaph for the Elm. It's a really wonderful book about elm trees, and I added it up here to this document page that has some leafy bits on the front, and then this large journal card here with some of the fruit trees: the Saskatoon Juneberry, Cascara buckthorn, Utah Juneberry, domestic apple and pear, tree tobacco, American smoke tree, and the possum haw holly. So that tucks in there. Let me just make sure I got it all the way in there. I do. Okay. And then this is another original book page, and this doily paper. This is a little stamp here of an oak leaf. And then this is a sort of clustered belly band, so it has this white ghost leaf on it. It has a silk leaf here, a little label, and a little tag, and it's just a cluster, and it's on the back side of the book jacket. And inside there are two journal cards. So this isn't a journal card. You could make it into a journal card if you wanted to back it, but I felt like it was some kind of tree offense to do this. So this is from a French book called The Walking Tree, a children's book, absolutely lovely book, and I found it in poorer condition, written in by children. It was in a little free library in Quebec, and so I thought I will use it in journals. So see, this is his eye, his nose, his mouth. So he's a walking tree. And back here he is on an adventure. There he's smiling, he's walking along. There's a bunny there and some mushrooms. So I just wanted to leave that as a fun little tuck-in of inspiration. But then I did add a journal card so there would be something to write on that page. And this is just a beautiful tree. This is a really lovely verse with these maple seeds here. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree, and I will let you read the rest on your own should you decide to own this journal. And then we have some acorns and some oak leaves. This is an over-the-top journal card, and this is actually made from a really beautifully illustrated Japanese book. I have a whole series of these Japanese illustrated children's books. Some of them are about towns. This one is about forests, and it's just really lovely illustrated trees. It tucks over this beautiful book page from another tree book that I have, and a pocket there with some leaves. This is a little tag from the paper cameo with this beautiful deer. And that just tucks on in here. And then this goes over the top. So, just tucks on the top. And this is a hand-dyed paper in spruce green. It's watercolor paper. And then this is another original book page, some coffee-dyed paper. This is another little clustered laminated collection of things from my daughter. It is leaves, maple seeds, a little flower from a honeysuckle, a feather, and another teeny little leaf on top of the feather. And it's on this beautiful paper. And this is another of my Junk Journal July projects where I did some smooshing and mark making of this tree. And it says, "They loved the faraway tree and all its little tree folk." And it has some nice grungy book spine on it there. And this is a little page from the Golden Tree Guide of the Rocky Mountain Maple and Sycamores. Sycamore trees are so amazing. I love them. I think they're one of my favorite varieties of trees because their bark is incredible. Like the whole tree, the bark changes several times in the tree's life. Sometimes it almost looks like Lego pieces. And then the sycamore maple, it's also amazing. It just, the bark comes off and kind of like changes over time. It's just a beautiful tree. I made a journal with tree, I made a couple of journals with tree bark covers using sycamore. I'm trying to remember which journal it was. It was a Release the Craft and Design Team project for, well, maybe a solstice, I can't recall. But anyways, yeah, I really love sycamore trees. This is a really pretty digital. It's sort of a tree at night with all these little lanterns, and I've added some colored leaves that are, you know, the same colors of the lanterns. And this is just a really beautiful spread. He that planted a tree is a servant of God. He provided a kindness for many generations, and faces that he hath not seen shall bless him. And that's from Henry Von Doyle. I'm not usually someone who adds any kind of religious content to my books, so that's why I read that out loud to you, so that you would be aware that it was there. And I just think that the image is beautiful and had to use it. And then on this side again, this continues, and we've got these stitched on leaves. Sorry, that was a little baby interruption there. So anyways, I've stitched on these fun leaves at the side in this nice kind of triangle. And then this is more hand-dyed paper and more of the Golden Tree Guide of the pecan and black walnut trees. Black walnut trees, I make ink from the black walnuts, so I really love that tree. And let me just, I've got an envelope flap here, I'll just open it so that you can see. So this is another laminated frame of another maple seed, a little green one. On this pretty paper. This is from the Botanica collection from the paper cameo on Etsy. This is from a Vintage Ideals magazine cover of this beautiful tree, and I've stitched some batik fabric up top. Just a journal card that tucks in there, and then we can turn the page here and we have this pretty paper, like a document with a tree on top. It's all watercolor ink. Then this is an envelope also from the paper cameo, and it's got this little fairy girl, and it's very foresty. And a butterfly on the back, and then inside we have this journal card that's made from a little painting of trees. You can hopefully see the kind of canvasy texture. It was one of those paper canvas type paintings, and that just clips on with a rusty paper clip. some coffee dyed paper and original book page, more dyed paper. This is a collaged belly band with an owl and a tree, and this says by the 1882 edition, and that's from a scan of an old, like it's a tree stump. It's from an old publishing company. And then this little green stamp there, I just added for the green, and it's on a pretty book page of some lovely plants of berries, serviceberry. And this is a tree journal card that pops in here. And then this is just a beautiful page from this tree book. I really just wanted to leave a few of these just as they are for inspiration. This is from an Ideals magazine. It's a tree here with some lovely like linear like drawing in the background, and I've kind of made a cluster pocket with it. So this is real cork, and then this is a little fussy cut of a flower from a chestnut tree. And then you can see some maple seeds and things on this document here. And then this is a little journal card of different leaves. And this is the ginkgo with the ginkgo fruit. If you weren't aware, the ginkgo, when it is in its fall yellow colors, you can actually collect the fruit, and you can pop them kind of like popcorn in oil at home, and they are really yummy, but you can only have a few. So for adults, they recommend a maximum of about 8 of them, and for children about 3 to 4. And the reason why is you can get ginkgo toxicity if you have too many, but they are a nice little treat, a little foraging kind of fun thing. This is more of the Botanica collection paper, and this is another original book page. Some more of the dyed watercolor paper. This is a fun little cluster with fabric and this lovely branch, and it's on this pretty paper with the trees. And there is our lovely walking tree guy. He's kind of running through the ferns right now. Then over here we have, this is like a tree bark. You can see the tree bark, and then there's some flowers growing around it. It's from a Vintage Ideals magazine cover. And then we have more of that vintage book at the back. And then this is also from like a paper canvas, and it was a photo that was printed on paper canvas, and it's a journal card. More dyed paper, and this is from like a family tree kind of book. And then this lovely tree, another page. This is the hardy magnolia tree, also from a family tree book. This is a silk leaf that I have stitched down as a tuck spot for this black and white tree tag. These are elm trees. And then some maple seeds, maple leaves. And these little dangly maple twig bits. There's a part of the season where those little floral clusters happen on many, many varieties of maple trees. And they almost look like jewelry. They're just so pretty and dangly. And then I've stitched some yellow leaves on this nice spruce blue-green paper. More of the original book page with some of the cones and conifers, cedars, more of the Botanica collection, and this beautiful document with leaves. And I added a little butterfly down there, and this is another tag from the paper cameo. And then this is a book page cluster pocket with some oak leaf, and then over here is some of the buckeye. And then this is a journal card with some butterflies, and this is actually sumac, and then I've stitched this red maple leaf on top. And this is a little pocket here with a cone, and then there's information about the lindens back here. And then this is an image of these folks carving a heart in a tree. And it's like an old Victorian greeting card, digital. And then this is actually zebra wood, and I've backed it with paper. It can be written on. It is quite durable. It would crack if you were to purposely bend it in half, but for the purposes of what it will be used for, it's going to be great. I'm lucky enough to live near an exotic wood store, and they sell funny enough, pizza boxes full of like their scrap bits of wood veneer from their projects. And so I always like picking those up and using them in my work. This is some more of the dyed paper and some leaves I stitched on. This little circle tuck spot is from the paper Cameo, and then this pretty paper behind. These are oaks, the acorns and the oak branches and what their leaves and what they all look like. Oak trees are wonderful trees. They're like super giving trees. You know, they give us those beautiful acorns that we can use in our projects and the animals love eating. Their leaves are wonderfully full of tannin, so they print really well in eco-printing projects. And also they are purveyors of edible mushrooms all around their base. In the fall, you can often find a mushroom called the maitake, which is a really yummy edible mushroom. Then this is more of the botanical collection. This is an envelope that I dyed green, and I added some chestnuts here. And this is a little image from an illustration book of a very wide tree, reminiscent of those, what are those trees like in the desert called? I completely forget, but they have very wide bases. It reminds me of that. This is another image from an illustration book of this little boy in a tree, and there's a little girl with a chicken down here. And the timing on this is amazing because my daughter currently has 5 baby chicks in her room in a cage because we're watching them for the weekend. So we've been in little chick town. And then more of the original book and some dyed paper. This is from the Botanica collection, I want to say, from the paper Cameo. I could be wrong there though. Don't quote me on that one. This is a tree, and then inside here, this is handmade paper, and then I had to add this. This is also from the paper Cameos collection. It's the kind of forest lore center of the book, and I've stitched this orangey red leaf up top. And then this beautiful tree, more hand dyed and original book page, the other half of that envelope, and inside of it I've added another really funny illustration from an illustration book. So this guy is harvesting white birch. He's got a knife in his hand and he's cut this section off and he's using it as a hat. And then this little piece of veneer also for writing on. And I don't recall what kind of wood that one is, but it's nice. These are a couple little fussy cuts of the flowers from a chestnut tree. And more of these pretty, I'm pretty sure this is Botanica collection. And then this is another little journal pocket with a little one sitting on some wood logs here with some nice paper behind. And then this is sumac journal card, dyed paper with leaves. Belly band with this beautiful old tree. This is from a Vintage Ideals magazine, and there's more trees back here. And then this is a lovely page that has plants on both sides. We have oak on this side, just a little piece of stationery. This was gifted to me from Nancy at Wishes and Weeds because she's lovely. And then on the back side here, we have the last page, which is just more of that beautiful, this is one of the sycamores. And then this is just a really cool art illustration piece that I found in an illustration book, and it was called like The Growth of the Whale. And so there's a whale here, like it's kind of a statement about like the circle of life, you know. So we have a whale that is underground here and a tree growing from it. We have trees around it, and then we have a skull up here. Looks kind of like a deer's antlers, right? So it's just kind of an interesting art piece. And that is the last journal card in the book. And then the backside paper, I also used 49 Market, the other half of that same piece of paper. And I've added my fun little seal here with a couple little sprigs of, you know, leafy bits, and signed the book. And we have some mushrooms. So that is the Identification of Trees and Shrubs. So this book, if you're seeing this video, will be going up in my Etsy shop, which is linked down below. There will be one more little tree book that's coming. Slowly but surely I'm getting through these along with Junk Journal July, and the fact that I've started such a queue of projects that I'm working a little bit on many, so I think my process has been a little slower than normal getting things done. So anyways, Thank you for joining me, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Bye for now.